got to play Explore and Draw the Isle of Cats. So this is a roll and write version of Isle of Cats. But before we get into it, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell because board games are amazing and that's what we do here at
Or
Legends.
you like cats.
Or you could like cats.
Or both.
Or both. All right, Randy, so can you tell us more about this one? I know this one's a recent release.
Yep, it was 2022 release. It was kind of an add-on to the Isle of Cats expansion Kickstarter. So it has a Board Game Geek rating of 7.9 and a Board Game Geek rank currently of 4839. Plays 1 to 6 players. The average length is 30 to 45 minutes. Age is 8 and up, which I think is about right. We've been getting a lot of them that you could play at 8 and up, but been getting 14 and up for some reason.
Yeah.
This one is definitely, I think, age appropriate, 8 and up. The design is by Frank West. Art is by Dragonmother and Frank West. Published by City of Games, and it has an MSRP of $30 for this. The Game Steward is selling it for $31.99, which they usually do mark it up a little bit if you're wanting to get it from the Kickstarter version. But I don't think there's any difference between the Kickstarter. It might have more markers, but I don't think there's that much of a difference. The Geek Market is selling it for $30 at MSRP. Card House and Miniature Market both have it already in stock, so that's where I would go to. Card House has it for $20.49. And Miniature Market has it for $21. So Card House appears to have the cheapest price on it. I don't think there's any difference between the retail version and this version. If there is, it's just extra markers.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about quality of pieces. So for this roll and write, it is actually for the dry erase boards, which I think are fine, and as well as the markers, which I don't think were bad. The only issue I had a little bit was the fact that there was no erasing
there's no erasers on them, but I mean, you can get a piece of towel paper and do it. I mean, it's no big deal.
Yeah, or, anything really.
The one thing I didn't understand is it's two-sided, but I still have not seen any difference between the two sides. The boards have different arrangements of where the rats are, but the two sides appear to be exactly the same. I don't see any difference whatsoever. So it seems like a missed opportunity.
Yeah. And so with that, your card quality does have a linen finish, is pretty good thickness. So overall, I would probably give this a 7.5 on
you
quality.
Have a screen printed boat for the round marker.
So I would give this a 7.5 for quality. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, it's definitely decent quality. Everything you've got, the markers are not bad. Usually, a lot of games you get those little tiny ones.
I know. I thought
these are good sized markers. They just don't have erasers. Is the only issue. I think 7.5 is fine.
Okay, so let's move on to the theme. So the theme is Dead Up Isle of Cats.
Yes.
You're trying to put cats on your boat and you're trying to make them fit and you're trying to eat all the mice while you do it. And obviously the more you fill your boat and the more the same color connecting. So there is a theme there. I don't think it's very strong in the fact that I don't understand why you put cats on a boat, but it's cats.
It's the same level as what Isle of Cats was when we reviewed that. So.
Right. It's the same thing. So, I mean, it's cute and it's fun, but does it make a lot of sense? Not really, but that's okay. Yeah. That's okay because it's still cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's shapes you're putting onto a boat and they happen to be occupied by cats and it's a nice play on words.
Yeah. So overall, giving it a score for theme, what would you do it?
I'd probably give it an 8. I mean, it's a cute, fun theme. So it's one you can, play with children. It's going to attract them because of the cute cats. It's a fun theme. We've had lots of friends that have been interested in Isle of Cats, and this is a nice portable version of it. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with your assessment there. So moving on to the rule book, I know pretty much halfway through you were like, this is exactly like Isle of Cats.
Yes, it's 12 pages long. Definitely, if you've played Isle of Cats, it's going to take you no time at all to read through this because it is exactly the game of Isle of Cats, with the exception of you're not drafting cards. You are actually choosing the same cards as everybody else from the same set. You have your own choices you make as far as which strategy, which row or column, and you've got some variabilities. They're the same for everybody, but you can choose when to deploy them. So there's not really any big differences beyond that. You're filling your boat with cats. You get treasures. You fill the boat with treasures as well. You get bonuses the same exact way. The rule book is laid out nicely. It teaches you very nicely. I like how everything is, the text, I like this in Isle of Cats too. It's very crisp, very easy to read. It's not, they try to do some fancy font or anything and it makes it difficult to read. Everything is clear. There's, the font size is not bad. It's not huge, but it's not tiny. So it's easy to read. There's really no confusion in this rule book. They do have a color-friendly mode. If you don't have access to color pins, they have different suggestions on how you fill it in. I thought that was nice. And there is a solo mode on here. So, and they have an FAQ on the back. I think this is an excellent rule book. It's really well done. I'm going to give it a 9.
Okay, fantastic. All right, so now let's talk about gameplay. So the gameplay is set up with the first round that you have a 3x4 board, but this is a little bit different in the fact that it's not out of one deck. So it's coming out of 2 decks. So there are 4 cards that is coming out from the blue deck. The rest are then placed out of the green deck once you place that set. Now that configuration, I assume, is in the rulebook.
It's in the rulebook, but they should have made a cheat sheet. That's the one grievance I had with it, just in the rulebook, was that they didn't give you a cheat sheet for that arrangement. Once you get playing, you're going to memorize the patterns, and it's not a difficult pattern to remember. But it would have been nice to have something that showed you every time when you set it up that you put these cards in this sequence. Instead, you have to look at the rule book for that.
Correct. So there is that piece of it as well. So then as a player, you decide whether what column that you're going to end up choosing. So basically, once I pick a column, I'm going to get all 3 of those cards and I'm going to draw them on my board. Now, there is special player powers that you can use. They're all the same, but, everyone has 5 to choose from. You can only use 3 of those, and you can only use 1 per round. So there is that piece of it as well. So there, one example is that you choose a row versus a column, or maybe you draw your next cat twice. Okay, so there are some things that you could do to maybe if the board is not your friend one time. So there is that piece of it as well.
Now,
so,
when you said you take the cards, you don't actually physically take the cards.
No.
You just choose the row or column you're
you
taking.
draw them on your board.
And you draw those shapes. Everybody could choose the same exact column. There's no restrictions for that.
Yeah. So you do this for 8 rounds? 7 rounds. But now the one thing so these point cards, I do want to call out, you go to your board and you mark it off. So, because there's only so many, you'll know which ones that you've got triggered. And so you can use that for the end of game.
I really like that mechanic. I mean, in the other game, you collect those cards, and when you're drafting, you choose them, and you control those cards by yourself. In this, you get that same feel by the way they did it. I liked how they did that.
Yeah, so I thought that was fine. So you do that for 7 rounds, and then at the end of the game, you do a scoring round. So you score all your different families. Now remember, in Isle of Cats, just like this game, the number of the same colored cats that are touching are considered a family if you have 3 or more. And depending on how many you have, that's how many victory points that you get. And then you also, for every rare trigger you get 3. The lesson cards, which are your end of game victory points, then that gets scored. If you have any rats that did not get covered up in the game, they're worth -1 victory points. And then any rooms that you did not complete is -5. And I think that's the biggest negative point.
Yeah.
Is not filling all your rooms. And it is very difficult to fill all of them. Every single game I've played thus far, I have not completed 3 rooms. But
I had the first game I only completed missing 1. So.
Yeah, no, well, I was excited in the fact that I covered the big room, which is not normal for me. So I was really impressed with myself this last one, but then I ended up not filling anything else out. So there's that. But yeah, no, so that piece of it as well. Then you calculate your score and then you see who wins, and that is the end of the game. Now, it is very similar to Isle of Cats. There really is not a feel different. The one thing, though, is I actually like having the tiles to be able to play and flip around. And with dealing with dry erase, it does smudge. But I do think you were spot on when you said this is a travel version of Isle of Cats. And they're not nearly the amount of setup. Nor
the store. I mean, just to carry that gigantic Isle of Cats box. The initial one was big. Then when you add the expansion, it's huge now. And yeah, this is much easier to throw into a backpack and carry with you.
Yeah, so in that aspect, it gives you the same feel, even though I like the tactile of kind of shuffling the tiles around. I still think this is a good, fun game.
Well, there's that, and then the other difference, like I said, is you don't take the cards, which is a huge difference because I got to admit, I'm much better at this game than I was at Isle of Cats.
Which is why I like Isle of Cats.
Yeah, because I've won every game, I think. So the big thing on this is, you can plan your strategy and nobody can impact you. Nobody else can take the cards that you were after. You're making your best choices.
Which is normally what I can like about a game, but I'm just not. Well, I won the first one.
You did? I thought I won them all. Okay.
No, I think I won the first one. I did barely, but I did. So that was nice. But still a good game though. Giving it a score though, what would you give it?
I think it's still a fun game. It still captures all the flavor and fun of Isle of Cats in a portable version, and it's easier to set up, easier to take down. I'm going to go ahead and give this probably an 8.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I could see that. It is a lot of fun. Isle of Cats, I've always liked, and I always forget how much I like it until I get it out and play it. But this is another.
And we still haven't played the expansion for that. We got to get that to the table soon.
So that's what we're playing next?
No, I didn't say that. I said soon. There's going to be a lot of setup probably because we got to get it all in the box.
Right. So, but overall, I'd give this one a 7.5 because it's just not quite as fun as Isle of Cats, but it's still good. It's a great portable version. Like, don't mistake me. Like, if you love Isle of Cats and you want something portable, this is the way to go. Mm-hmm. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us. We had an absolute blast, and hopefully you'll come hang out with us again. We'll catch you guys later. Bye.